Hey everybody, welcome to Valentine TV. Today's reaction is coming from TISA Tales. Um, there has been, you know how we always talked about the jurors, the jury, but we're going to talk about this alternate right here. This alternate right here, y'all. I felt weird about him at the beginning. Let me try to make my head a little bit. Yeah, I felt a way. I know a lot of us felt a way about him going on all these different darn places, just doing interview after interview after interview, right? You know, when like they say, when you ain't telling the truth, you got to remember every freaking story that you told to somebody. Or well, I'm on YouTube, so every lie. You gotta remember every lie that you told somebody. And so evidently he didn't remember his. So let me let Tisa get y'all started on it. And as you come in, y'all please hit that subscribe button. I will appreciate it so much. All right, so here we go, okay? All right.
This is bad. This is a bombshell. And you guys, it honestly looks like, okay? It honestly looks like, baby, the jurors actually might be in trouble. You guys, what am I talking about? You know, this had to be big because this dragged me out the pool. This dragged me out the pool, but we need to talk about this. First of all, I talked to my coworkers. If you guys don't know, I work for the FBI branch of YouTube. Here is my employee ID. I talked to my coworkers and
And I think we all work for them. Anybody that is anti-Diddy work for the feds, okay? The feds of YouTube. Any of us, okay?
said, listen, get up, because the juror that has been going on spouting their mouth is under investigation. Now, we're going to talk about what that means. We're going to talk about what he's under investigation for. We're going to talk about the gross misconduct that he accidentally admitted. And we're also going to talk about Matthew from Inner City Press. Shout out to the investigator of the investigators that actually broke this down. He has contacted the UN. I have contacted the UN. We need answers. And we're also going to talk about what this means for the Diddy verdict.
And y'all, we already know, because I know some pro Diddy's out there probably saying, that ain't gonna change nothing. It ain't gonna. We know we can't do double jeopardy. We know, but the point of the matter is, the jury can if found to not be telling the truth, can face charges, can pay a fine, can be. They probably love not ever having to do jury duty again, but that's another penalty they could get if found being untruthful. You know what I'm saying? And yeah. So we already know that, but they could. I don't know. I think maybe Diddy's team could appeal since he was found guilty on 2 of the charges. So I don't know. Let's just see, cause y'all know I ain't courthouse savvy. No, not. But I'm learning. I am learning quick. But here we go.
Now, spoiler alert, because Diddy was found not guilty for 3 of those charges, double jeopardy, he cannot be tried again for those charges, even if they found out the jury lied. Even if they found out that the jury, according to this one juror, completely defied the judge's expectations. Even if we find out all that stuff, right? He's still got off not guilty, double jeopardy. Oh yeah, you guys, don't forget we still have merch. We have mugs, but teas, peas, potatoes, you name it. We got everything, okay? Click the merch store. But let's get into this. Now, a lot of people were hoping, including myself, whatever this investigation yields, that maybe those not guilty verdicts. Of course, we all had high school civics class. It's double jeopardy. Guilty. It's not going to go on. Under the double jeopardy clause, the amendment, he cannot hide for the same crime, even admitted to breaking the rules, even if jurors admitted they misunderstood the law, and even if new evidence appears proving he was guilty, they gave a not guilty or a final verdict. It's constitutional law. Now, I actually think that the verdicts jury gave him not guilty on that on purpose, because I don't think they wanted anybody else. I think they were starstruck, and I think they wanted to find him innocent. Okay. However, if the jurors violated the rules, and we're going to get into that and the investigations that have yielded and what they're under, they talked early. Let's just say there's no proof that they took bribes, but let's just say they took bribes. There is evidence that they talked and deliberated before the sentencing, and the judge told them not to. Why is that important? It would explain how they went into a room. Okay. It would explain how they went into a room and had all this evidence, and in less than 14 hours came back with a guilty verdict. It was a very
y'all remember when because y'all know every day, every couple days, every couple times a day, TISA would come out, give us a report and all of that stuff, right? And remember when she was saying the jurors were looked like they was whispering, mouthing stuff to each other, or they was laughing with the defending people and all of that stuff. And then they had to eat. You think they didn't? And then all of them went home. Who knows? They may have exchanged numbers. A couple of them. You know what I'm saying? The point of the matter is sorry, I was eating some chips, y'all. Sorry. But look, this is the alternate juror, he says, right? So how would he know what the jurors, the actual 12, were talking about in that room, unless they already had discussed it? And he even got caught up when he said, because I've been on the jury, I got out of doing it, but I knew I was on it. Okay, he said that he did not know he was a juror or alternate until the last second, after he gave them the instructions and to go deliberate. He said, now the first 12, y'all are the main jury, y'all are the alternates. That ain't how it works. You're a juror and you're alternate on that first freaking day. So lied about that. Lied about some more stuff that we're about to get into in a minute, okay? Y'all, please hit the subscribe button. I appreciate it so very, very much. Thank you.
a not guilty verdict, okay? Even if proven, the verdict still stands. No mistrial can be declared retroactively, and no appeal can undo the acquittal. The only consequences, and this is why they're under investigation and they're looking into it. Again, you guys, when I say, okay, my coworkers woke me up early this morning. I'm just joking. But I do work for the FBI branch of YouTube. Here's my employee ID. For everybody saying that you guys want shirts, we are looking on shirts being made of that. I think that's actually cool.
Yeah.
You can be a fed witness too. You can be fed. You can be fed. You could be fed. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, the jurors.
One more thing. Maybe one more thing. Listen, I was on. Well, how you looking around, getting stories together and stuff. Okay, it's a nice lady. She's very nice, but she had that. TISA was doing the symbolism stuff with her hands. No, it's gone. And what messed her up was when she said that it didn't go with the words. didn't go with what she was talking about. And this is the video. Some of these are the videos, because when TISA, like when she's gonna do a one, her thumb automatically comes up. That's supposed to be some kind of symbol. And when she does this, but it's bent down, but I do it. And I know I ain't Illuminati, right? But anyway, I just wanted to just stress that, because TISA does, see, look at my finger. I mean, you do stuff. Some people don't even know what it means, but TISA, no. Oh, never mind. But no, I'm gonna tell you, because I started it. I be hating when people do that. I ain't know mine had a darn the one-eyed thing right here until I was watching that lady's stuff this morning. The one-eyed symbol thing right here. I don't know what it might mean to him, but that's what it's a picture. The darn thing, and then the eye in the middle. Yeah, a tattoo right there. I never noticed it. Ever. But anyway, here we go. Sorry, let's finish this up.
Might be investigated, fined, or banned from future jury duty. Even though the whole ban from future jury duty, I think the jurors are like, don't threaten me with a good time. Again, the judge might publicly condemn the misconduct, but again, you guys keep in mind, he will not be tried again for different charges, only if it's a different crime, such as obstruction of justice, tax fraud, or human trafficking, or under federal jurisdiction. Different cases of human trafficking, okay? Not Cassie and not Jane. And or under federal jurisdiction if the case was state level, okay? But not for the same alleged acts under the same law, okay? The DOJ cannot retry him for the exact same charges under the same statute. That is double jeopardy, okay? However, civil lawsuits are still fair game. Okay, so we got that out the way. I know everybody's wondering. Now let's talk about what the jurors are under investigation for. Because baby, where's my mouse? You are not going to believe this. And again, I had to run in here. I was literally floating in the pool, minding my business, having a good old time. And this came across my timeline. I said, no. And you know what the funny thing is? I had made, I'm going to post it later, but I had made a story about this earlier. I had made a story about this earlier in the day that I was going to post about what was that a feather? The hell?
It came off
about what was
going
I think. Where did feather come from? Okay, so anyway, right? Let's get into this. Where are we? Turn your, hold on. Let me stop this real quick and make sure.
Okay.
The housekeepers are cleaning. I hope you guys. Hold on, you guys. Hold on. Let's go. Jamie said, not you turn it into a bird, baby. I'm already a fed. Don't you know? Can be whatever I want to be in this world. Okay. First of all, let's turn on the juror thing. 1 second. Juror. Let's do. Okay. Can you guys hear it? Okay. Okay. Put a 1 if you can hear his talking. Hold on. Can you guys hear that?
I couldn't.
Did you guys hear that? Yeah. Okay, so first of all, I like to give credit where credit is due. The person that started this whole investigation, okay, is Matthew from the Inner City Press. Subscribe to his Substack. Follow him on Blue Sky or Twitter. This man has been doing the Lord's work. As you guys know, the Southern District of New York doesn't allow cameras in, okay? And you're not allowed to record anything. You can't bring your phone. You have to check it. Matthew covers every single case in the courthouse. He runs from courtroom to courtroom. He can strive. He lets us know what's happening. As a matter of fact, during the voir dire, we closely followed him, and he inspired us to come out and actually bear witness in the courtroom. So make sure y'all follow him. He also has a Substack. So this is what he posted. The time UN counterterrorism officer George said the prosecution showed a video of Cassie sitting around, then immediately said it was the defense that showed her. After being asked, told the defense also spoke on Don Richard and other journalists alternate. Now, listen, he posted this one a while back, and it literally was to drag the juror because you can just see how dumb the jurors were. They showed of Cassie just sitting around. Now, I could say to the prosecution, why didn't y'all show some of the freak off tapes to counteract? Because the fact that you see people sitting around, you somehow think they're not being trafficked. You somehow think.
Yeah, the prosecution didn't show any FO tapes, did they? I heard that the prosecution was saving a lot of the evidence that they had for something that was about to happen. And I don't know, y'all. I can't explain it. Only they know. And y'all know the Southern District of New York or whatever it's called. They don't lose much. And when they lose, they get hot. So I don't think they lost as long as they did get them years. Not me, but whatever's gonna happen, something's about to happen. I don't know what, y'all. Okay.
They're not abused, baby. Even war, the bombs are not dropping every single day. It's very ignorant, but that's not the point. Let's just get past this. Listen to what this man has to say, and then we're going to get into the receipts. And just to let you know, I have also emailed his supposed place of work because y'all, not only does it look like the jury that this guy lied to get on the jury, right? It also looks like there was gross juror misconduct, and this is coming out of his own mouth. Also, I just want to let you guys know, I have a little side story for this guy because this guy, if I can show it, will come in like a peacock, and this guy will walk in like a peacock, and he would stand there. All the other jurors were looking straight. He would look at the audience like it was his time to shine. He loved the attention. He seemed very, very thirsty. He wanted to be seen. He wanted to be known. He just seemed very, very thirsty. So keep that in mind as we listen to this. So listen.
Oh, Southern District.
Wait, what happened?
Okay,
here we go.
You know, unanimously, we kind of all said like, wow, like it was
Okay, so if you guys don't know, this is Inner City Press. Follow him, Matthew Russell Lee. He's on it, all right? Follow Inner City Press. I will say one thing. Inner City Press truly gives non-biased coverage. If you give your opinion, right, he just says what happens. He doesn't give his opinion. He just says, this is what happened, this is what happened, this is what happened. He has to condense it because he can't put everything like the transcripts. But to me, that is non-biased. Anytime you weigh in and put your finger on the scale, well, actually, everybody's non-biased, unless you just don't say it's all what happened. But let's keep going. Who cares? Let's move on. All right. So Matthew posted this, and I'm like, what is Matthew talking about this early in the morning? Okay. But he brought up some interesting things. This guy said that he worked for the UN. Matthew uncovered evidence that he has a real estate firm and that he might have been lying about working for the UN and gotten fired. But he said he worked for the UN during the voir dire. All right. Now he called the UN and he said the UN won't answer on UNOCT Diddy alternate juror as US bans Inner City Press. Okay. With no reply. Now, when I heard Inner City Press got banned, I jumped in and said, let me email the UN. I did email the UN. I don't know because it's emailing governments, whether you can actually share the emails, because sometimes we're very strict about that. With the new administration, I did not want to tempt fate, but I have an email in also. But you guys don't worry.
Y'all remember when the Inner City Press was out of the courtroom for that whole day? I wonder. No, I don't know. Maybe they talking about after the trial, but I know he couldn't go in the courtroom for one day because I know I heard somebody that hacked his darn thing and put something in there that he did not say, somehow like that, and they got it all right and all that kind of stuff. Then he was back in there, but yeah, he had to leave, and y'all know he been in there forever. He be running all over the courthouse, across the street. Cause I think Weinstein was across the street at the same time. Boy, it was a busy day in New York on that street.
It's getting deeper. Hold on. Let's just get into this. Now, True in it on Twitter said U.S. Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure, Rule 24C for alternate jurors. Each alternate juror must be informed of their status when selected and must have the same qualifications and be subject to the same examination and challenges as regular jurors. Okay. So this guy already off the bat lied and said he didn't know he was an alternate juror. Of course he knew he was an alternate juror. The public wasn't supposed to know. But that said, he must be subject to the same qualifications and subject to the same examination and challenges as the regular jurors. What does that mean? That means that the same way juror number 6 got dismissed for there being something weird about where he lives, where he stays, and what happens. Even though that happens, okay? Even that should have been with the alternate juror. You're not allowed to lie about your job. You're not allowed to lie where you live, about where you live. And if you are proven that you lied, you must be thrown off the jury, even as an alternate, okay? Now, we're not just talking about the alternate jury, because the alternate juror told us something about the actual jury, okay? It comes into this. So Matthew said, thanks for posting the rule. Also, jurors and then alternates in this case were clearly told their role, which one they were, and their number, whether they were alternate or not, before opening statements. So you and George telling CNN he didn't know until the end, well, they're awaiting the UN spokesperson reply. Because again, Matthew did some investigation, and apparently this guy might not even work for the UN, because when you work for the UN, you're not allowed, I think, to moonlight at other jobs. So, somebody said, thanks for your tireless work, Matthew. Thank you, Matthew. Matthew said, no problem. For those critical of reporting on the alternate juror who told CNN he didn't know until the end that he was an alternative, I noted that during voir dire, his claim that the UN counterterrorism unit does not work with U.S. law enforcement was dubious as best. He's following up on that. Now, if you guys don't know, I'm giving you guys the background so we can actually get into the meat of it, right? So he said that he worked for the UN counterterrorism, and now it looks like he lied about working for UN. And if he did work whatever it is, he got fired. He also said that the U.S. counterterrorism does not work with U.S. law enforcement, which maybe you can't call that a lie, but like Matthew said, it's dubious at best, because of course counterterrorism works with U.S. law enforcement, like the FBI, like state and local police. Of course they do, okay? It's part of their job description. But let's get into this. Okay. Now, somebody said, I wish CNN had followed up with the juror when he said everyone agreed about Richard's cross. As you said, they weren't supposed to be discussing the case. And here comes the meat of it. Matthew said, exactly. And did you notice that George said that the prosecution's video selection showed Cassie sitting around? Then he was asked, do you mean the defense? And he said, yeah, the defense. Also, he knew from J1 he was an alternate juror. Anyway, Matthew is just like, he has a bone to pick with the UN, because apparently the UN banned him for his reporting, okay? Now, again, why is that so important? Because, let me get comfortable. Because
okay, y'all know I have to stop it. I can't just keep it rolling. But as you come in, y'all, please hit the subscribe button. And if you like a little bit of the content, y'all know I'm a reaction channel only. Could you please hit the like button? Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
For a number of things. One, if you guys have been following my live, I've been reporting from day one. that I saw the jury, and a lot of other news reporters saw it too. Okay, people in media, content creators, that the juror were keying and talking about themselves. Yeah. When did it reach max capacity? When Brian still passed around those binders. And the prosecution said, yeah, you can pass the binders. As they passed the binders, they sat there and were talking about the binders among themselves. Now, at that point, if I was the prosecution, I feel like they were too easy on this jury. I'd have been like, no, get them out of here. I want a mistrial. We need a new jury. They were talking back and forth to themselves. The judge told them, you are not allowed to discuss this case. You are not to discuss anything you have heard and said until deliberations. Mm-hmm. However, what I witnessed in the courtroom, and if you've been watching my lives, you know I talked about it, the jurors were talking back and forth. When Mia was cross-examined by, I don't know if it was Brian or Westmoreland, I forget. When she was cross-examined, one of the jurors turned around and looked at a juror in the second row. First, they were talking to the juror next to them, right? Like, right? And then they turned around to the second jury, like, ugh. While the defense was cross-examining, trying to expose him as being a liar, even though it was just fanfare. But again, I don't think that jury was that smart, right? They turned around and, right, mouthed that they're lying. And the other juror said, I told you. I told you. They were literally reacting as the defense was ripping apart witnesses, looking at each other. You see this? I told you she's lying, doing all this stuff. They were talking about, they were smiling at the other lawyers. Diddy's defense team, like, laughing at their jokes, smiling, kicking, getting a report. When Diddy was nodding at the jurors were, the jurors were there. I talked about this plenty of times in my life. I even shared what jurors I was actually concerned about. Now, I rolled it back and I didn't give this much detail then. In future lives, because somebody told me during the trial it's actually illegal or an issue, or I might get kicked out of the courtroom for literally giving too much details about the jurors. Mm-hmm. And since Diddy team was trying to get me kicked out of the courtroom the whole time, I can now say why. However, what did this juror say on CNN? We have the video that a lot of people skipped over and that Matthew actually caught, right? And that a lot of us have been saying, this was an alternate juror, okay? You were not allowed to deliberate with the jurors or talk. So how can you say, and I repeat, how can you say that, how could the juror say that they were discussing the case when the judge told them every morning, noon, night, breakfast, lunch, dinner, had this been brought to the prosecution's attention, they could have ruled for a mistrial. That was level one. But this would explain why the jurors only took 14 hours to review all that evidence, because most of them had made up their minds because they had been talking beforehand. Now,
because he even said Don the one messed it up. And Don was early in the case. That means the minds were made up even before, and they went through all of them days, all of them weeks, and they mind were already made up. Like in the West. When did Don come? Like the second week, third week? But Don Richards, they said no. That's what he said. He said he didn't believe him.
I will say, right? Either the alternate juror lied. Either the alternate juror lied to CNN and said and lied about discussing it, or the juror was discussing the case when the judge told them every day, morning, noon, and night, lunch and breaks, and even bathroom breaks, not to discuss the case. Not to discuss the case. Now, again, sadly enough, we're getting this information too late. There's no way due to double jeopardy that even if the jurors had came in and every day been like, I don't care what they say, Diddy innocent. It is too late now to get any type of appeal or overruling. That will be double jeopardy for those three charges.
But she's about to tell us there are ways. There are other ways.
That would be double jeopardy. However, there is the obstruction charge. There is the firearm charge. There is all these things that can go into either new charges being brought up, or they're giving them to the judge can give Diddy a higher sentence, which they think that Diddy's going to do time serving maybe a year. Who knows at this point? Because Diddy's lawyers are too effective. Not because I think he's innocent, just because lawyers are too effective. But it does look like, okay, it does actually look like the judge might actually sentence him closer to something with 10 years. I am praying for it. You guys know I think Diddy is guilty. I think his money bought this out this. I think the slime people that literally don't think that domestic violence and violence is a big deal. But y'all already know my thoughts on that. If you don't, watch my.
I know Murad Morelli said that he was standing outside, wherever the jury gets in and they leave. He said he saw two just smiling like that dude that they talking about, the alternate right here. That joker right here, I think he's gonna get in big trouble. Because I don't know how many news stations he done been on. He's been the only one I've ever seen. I haven't seen the juror or anybody else talking. I mean, I'm sure they are, but not like him. He throwing down. That joker. But and I wanted to also ask y'all if y'all would please hit that subscribe button, because some reason I got to 995. Don't you know it started going backwards? That was so. Now I'm at 991, and I just thought that was weird. But I was like, oh, okay, well, God knows. But anyway, yeah, it was weird. It was weird. So I'm at 991. So I need like 9. So if y'all would please hit that subscribe button, thank you so much. If you already have, thank you so much.
And live, TISA breaks her silence. It's really good. I give a lot of inside tea as to what happened and a lot of background. Okay. Now,
yeah, no, I'm.
The judge might actually sentence him closer to something with 10 years. I am praying for it. You guys know I think Diddy is guilty. I think his money bought this out this. I think the slime people that literally don't think that domestic violence and violence is a big deal. But y'all already know my thoughts on that. If you don't, watch my live, TISA breaks her silence. It's really good. I give a lot of inside tea as to what happened and a lot of background. Okay. Now, listen. Thanks. As I live tweeted, so somebody said, great job calling out this George, the alternate juror's BS and keeping your readings on farm. His BS story is making the media rounds on both CNN and USA Today.
Yeah.
CNN should be ashamed for giving that man airtime. Again, ashamed, or at the end of the day, I feel like the whole jury was on this time. I think that,
because I'm saying if CNN wouldn't have gave him airtime, we wouldn't know he was a trip. That's the first word came to my mind, y'all. We wouldn't know that the jury was not following the judge's direction. That's what I meant to say. But I did ebonics. Just a trip. But anyway, here we go, y'all.
They did not understand the law. I think they wanted to let Diddy off. I think they felt, which is the right, that a man does not deserve to be convicted of RICO when his only crime was using, abusing, drugging, and beating his significant other, right? Now, they had just been a girl that they found off the street. Even if they had showed her laughing and joking, they still would have gotten her. Also, you guys, we have merch. Let me fill up my little mug. This is my new obsession, Beachy Mint.
I mean, I know I'm loud.
This is my new obsession.
Did you already
I'm trying to do my best to stay hydrated, right? Drink my water, and I always do mind my business that pays me, but you know. I lost the straw that goes to this because I lose all straws, so I just had to buy another glass straw. Anyway, but that was my fault. I left it in someone's car and it got returned to me. The straw was missing. Anyway, let's get into this, right? Matthew said, thanks. As I live tweeted jury selection, Georgia's 2-day claim that his UN Office of Counterterrorism doesn't work with U.S. law enforcement jumped out to me because I report on the UN as well and knew that claim to be false. Then I saw his pitch on CNN. That is all. It gets deeper.
Matthew busted him, boy, because where he go and do all these stories and stuff at. Yeah, so he did a story on the UN, so he knew the dude was not telling the truth. He got busted by the court reporter.
Take you guys through the whole live thread. It's not that long, and then I'm going to tell you the information I know, right? Because my bosses, my coworkers, because I work for the FBI branch of YouTube. Here's my employee ID. My coworkers told me so. Okay. Ori Zain Malik said, interesting that the UN has long been involved in covering up sexual assault. They had to say Maxwell in there frequently, and then this alternate juror is working for them and lies about his connection to law enforcement. Inner City Press said, I just emailed the UN spokesperson a series of questions about this UN Office of Counterterrorism alternate juror, including to confirm or deny his answer that the UN Office of Counterterrorism never works with U.S. law enforcement and about his seemingly moonlighting in yet another job.
Wait a minute.
Again, it gets deep. Now,
hold it. Measure, man, why you do that? You know you my friend. Don't do that over here. You know how we do it. Yeah, this ain't over there at the other page where we know each other, so please don't do that over here, okay? Be nice. This is my page, okay? Okay? All right, so yeah, don't do that. All right, I love you though. Don't do that though. Don't do that. We ain't gonna be rude over here, okay? Can you hear my voice? Do you see? I'm being nice. I'm nice. All right. So leave TISA alone. I've been with her for 4 years, okay? And y'all can say what you want, but I've been watching her when she had 20,000 subs only. Okay? So leave her alone.
Because I work for the FBI branch of YouTube. Here's my employee ID. My coworkers told me so. Okay?
Yeah.
Ori Zain Malik said, interesting that the UN has long been involved in covering up sexual assault. They had to say Maxwell in there frequently, and then this alternate juror is working for them and lies about his connection to law enforcement. Inner City Press said, I just emailed the UN spokesperson a series of questions about this UN Office of Counterterrorism alternate juror, including to confirm or deny his answer that the UN Office of Counterterrorism never works with U.S. law enforcement and about his seemingly moonlighting in yet another job. Again, it gets deep. Now, this is true what Ori Zain says. The UN has long been involved in covering up sexual assault. Okay? Long been involved or being like this. It's funny that an alternate juror that claimed to find any evidence or who, what, how, at the very least, it looked like he was being dishonest, was there. And they were having talks with the jury, defying judges' orders and defying court orders and federal rules of civil procedure. And they're having questions of things and deliberating
Right.
before the judge told them to do that. Now, again, this would explain how they came back with a verdict, not guilty, pouring through the information so quick. How did 12 people who shouldn't have been talking about this enter into a room and then come out with like, yeah, again, I don't think this juror is lying. I think he accidentally slipped up and told us what was going on in the jury room.
That's it.
They had their minds made up and it was gross misconduct. Right? Listen, Somebody else said, remember, George probably does not, it's a big office with lots of positions. However, the State Department does work with the FBI. So I don't know why the judge let him in. To be honest, I do not think he even wanted to be on the jury. That is a lie. I saw this man. He would come in every day, walking in. And when they told the jury to take his seats, he would stand. So say you guys are like, you guys are the public. He would stand there an extra 2 seconds and look out and take it all in. And look out and take it all. Wait, let's get into this, right? Matthew said, thanks. As I live.
Deborah, you talking about this or you talking about Measured Man? Because Measured Man was being rude to TISA. Well, he was actually lying on TISA. Oh, I don't do TikTok. I don't know nothing about TikTok.
Tweeted jury selection. George's 2-day claim.
Uh-oh. Sorry, y'all. Something happened.
That is UN Office of Counterterrorism doesn't work with U.S. law enforcement jumped out to me because I report on the UN as well and knew that claim to be false. Then I saw his pitch on CNN. That is all. It gets deeper. I'm gonna take you guys to the whole live thread. It's not that long, and then I'm gonna tell you the information I know, right? Because my bosses, my coworkers, because I work for the FBI branch of YouTube. Here's my employee ID. My coworkers told me so. Okay. Ori Zain Malik said, interesting that the UN has long been involved in covering up sexual assault. They had to say Maxwell in there frequently, and then this alternate juror is working for them and lies about his connection to law enforcement. Inner City Press said, I just emailed the UN spokesperson a series of questions about this UN Office of Counterterrorism alternate juror, including to confirm or deny his answer that the UN Office of Counterterrorism never works with U.S. law enforcement, and about his seemingly moonlighting in yet another job. Again, it gets deep. Now, this is true what Ori Zain says. The UN has long been involved in covering up sexual assault. Okay? Long been involved. Or being like this. It's funny that an alternate juror that claimed to work for the UN, but nobody can really find any evidence or who, what, how. At the very least, it looks like
they found that he worked for a darn real estate agent. He's a real estate agent. They found that out too. But anyway, I don't mean to change the subject, and I don't want anybody to like be mad at me and click off me and stuff. It's just you can come over and have your opinion. I don't care, but just don't talk about like she's lying. She conned y'all out of it. Don't come over here like that. Just hey, I agree to disagree with TISA. I don't like TISA. Just say whatever it's your opinion. But don't come over here and tell me she done got 60K from us and I don't even have that much, okay? Shoot. All right, but anyway, yeah, just don't come over here like that. Come over and at least say hey first or something.
he was being dishonest, was there. And they were having talks with the jury, defying judges' orders and defying court orders and federal rules of civil procedure. And they were having questions, things, and deliberating before the judge told them to do that. Now, again, this would explain how they came back with a verdict of not guilty, pouring through all the information so quick. How did 12 people who shouldn't have been talking about this enter into a room and then come out with like, yeah, again, I don't think this juror is lying. I think he accidentally slipped up and told us what was going on in the jury room. They had their minds made up and it was gross misconduct, right? Listen, somebody else said, remember, George probably does not, it's a big office with lots of positions. However, the State Department does work with the FBI. So I don't know why the judge let him in. To be honest, I do not think he even wanted to be on the jury. That is a lie. I saw this man. He would come in every day, walking in. And when they told the jury to take his seats, he would stick. So you guys are like, you guys are the public. He would stand there an extra 2 seconds and look out and take it all in. and look out and take it all in. Like literally, I thought he was listening to, I wish that I could have this moment for life. For life. He literally was taking it all in. He was thirsty. He wanted the fame. He wanted the position, right? Inner City Press said, what's UN supposed to answer for one? Whether its UN Office of Counterterrorism works with U.S. law enforcement or not, as alternate juror George twice claimed in voir dire to get on the jury.
Sorry, y'all. Sorry, y'all. Oh, can y'all see the chat? I don't know. I don't see him either. I don't know. I guess I never know unless they like type something. You have to type something. These are in the bushes. Yeah, see, they have to actually type something like Measured Man did. These are the ones in the bushes. Okay, that's what I learned to say, in the bushes. So if they don't type something, I don't see them. I don't know. But anyway, I appreciate y'all here though. So if y'all would please hit the subscribe button. I'm only 9 away from the 1,000 mark. I got to 995, and some reason it started going backwards, y'all. Yeah, I saw Measured Man also, Deborah, in the chat because he typed something. But if they don't type or something, then I don't see anybody. I mean, I see them, but I don't see them in the chat. But anyway, let's just keep it moving. Y'all, please hit the subscribe button. I really would appreciate it.
Shouldn't the spokesperson answer how the UN uses U.S. tax dollars? Again, they also don't want to answer because it's going to prove that this guy shouldn't have been on the jury and that he lied to get on the jury. Again, the UN is refusing to answer. I don't want to get all conspiracy theory, but he should have never been there. And this guy was thirsty. For anybody saying he didn't want jury, this was a man that was soaking it all in. He wanted to be on that jury badly. He was looked like he was enjoying every single minute. Okay. Wait, okay. So then Inner City Press spoke about human rights. He said U.S. v. Sean Combs' alternative, George of UN Office of Counterterrorism, was the point of contact for the UN's high-level international conference on human rights. So this man that looked at the video and told us, and this is scary, told us Cassie was just sitting around in those tapes. It looked pretty tame. Like, what are you talking about? There's no big deal. He claims to be the point of contact for the UN's high-level international conference on human rights. Yeah. The UN is now refusing to actually answer anybody back. My email has been with them for about 3 hours. I have not received any answer back on it. Answer back, right? Listen. He was paid with tax dollars. He receives a high UN salary every day while refusing to be a spokesperson, refusing to answer straightforward questions emailed by the Inner City Press. Okay, so I think he's talking about the spokesperson now. Hold on. He also said in U.S. v. Combs, the judge told the jurors and alternates at each break, don't speak with each other about the case. You and alternate jurors did deliberate. Okay, when I say deliberate, that means that when you deliberate, you go back into the deliberation chambers, okay? That's where they talk. So the fact that he is on CNN talking about what the jury felt, we all saw, West Portland destroyed, we all agreed. The fact that he's talking about all these conversations, because and he was not invited back into the deliberation room. That means, what does that mean? It means that they were talking about this as the trial went on.
Yeah, that's why they had their mind made up so quick. And I'm gonna ask a question. I'm gonna ask y'all to do something for me. Just one person. Could you just type "Hey" in the comment? Not Deborah and not Victoria. I'm just making sure the comments are coming through because I don't see any of y'all's comment, even though I see y'all. But They made 2 people leave me, girl. Could somebody just say hey or anything or bye? Just say bye. All right. Whenever y'all feel like it, try to type something. Because I might not have it set right, okay? I appreciate it very much. All right. Because I'm just learning. So y'all help me. Help me, y'all. All right. Let's keep it moving.
Had their minds made up. They had their minds made up. I wonder if the feds wish to God when they first came out and said they couldn't decide on the RICO. I wonder if the feds wished to God that they had been like, all right, well, never mind. You don't have to decide about the RICO, and just let them go, because at least then they could have gotten a new trial, because the jury would have been hung on count 1, but decided counts 2, 3, 4, and 5. Right.
Right.
He went on to say, I say unequivocally that the UN office interacts and works with U.S. law enforcement, which George denied twice in order to get on the jury. Again, this guy shouldn't have been on the jury. The UN regularly covers up sexual assault. I'm sure they banned Matthew because he was covering on the case and was letting information out that they didn't want out. Again, you guys, if you're just joining me, my name is TISA. I work for the feds. If you guys don't know, here's my employee ID. My name is TISA. I came out of the pool to give you guys the tea. The juror, one of the jurors has admitted to gross misconduct, and they are under investigation. Now, before you get your hopes up, under double jeopardy, there's no way to overrule or appeal their ruling for those 3 not guilties with Diddy. However, this could be grounds if they wanted to. This could be grounds if they wanted to. And this is the scary part, that Diddy's team could actually use this as grounds to appeal the last 2 rulings. Again, I'm beginning to think in the Diddy case, nothing happens by accident. And the fact that he's saying that there was gross juror misconduct and that they had been deliberating and talking about this prior to the end of the trial, that is enough for the Diddy side to go in and try to appeal the rulings for the Mann Act and try to get those either overturned or to get a new trial on them. And don't think Diddy isn't looking at this or thinking, hell, I know Diddy's team watches my lives. Ain't nobody got to take them any tea about me. They watch my lives. But my whole point of the matter is, this is very serious and it is very grave. Again, I find it really funny that that guy came out on, and he may work for the UN, he may not, but he seems very, very starstruck over Diddy. Okay? He seems very starstruck over Diddy. Again, this is not good for anybody. Oh, also, Virginia Martinez said RICO charges were proven beyond a reasonable doubt. That is true. A classmate from law school had discussions that the jury couldn't have followed instructions. I don't think they followed instructions at all. Also, Jasmine Rivas said, Diddy, Mayor Adams, the key to the city. George, the UN building is housed in New York. This doesn't mean anything. Exactly. This means nothing. Just a series of unfortunate events. Just a series of unfortunate events. Also, DL Low Design. D-Lo Design, thank you so much for the super chat. And Harrison, thank you for the super chat. Jasmine, thank you. And Jasmine, Yasmin, is it Jasmine or Yasmin? Welcome to the Tattletales family. Okay. Where are we also? So in any case, listen, in the US v. Combs, the judge told the jurors every single day and on every break, don't speak with each other about the case. UN alternative George, who did not deliberate, why does that mean something? Because you're not supposed to talk about the case before deliberation. This is federal rules. The fact that he went on CNN and said they discussed it a lot. They all thought this. They thought that about what's more. He had details of what they thought about everybody. The fact that you knew what everybody else was thinking and you said they had conversation, that shows that you violated. You guys, this is serious. This is grounds for Diddy to appeal, right? Or at the very least, this is grounds for what could happen to the jurors. let me get into this. I actually looked into what could happen to the jurors, okay? If this is discovered before the verdict was rendered, which would have been nice, it's a huge deal. The judge can dismiss jurors, declare a mistrial, or even remove the entire jury. If it's called after a guilty verdict, it could be grounds for appeal for a new trial. Now, I do want to know this. How did they talk about it? Well, I know the bailiff in that court. His name is Anthony. He runs a no-nonsense court. There is no way that the bailiffs actually saw them seeing and discussing everything. So it leads you to say, when did they have time to talk about this? Were they calling each other? Was there a group chat? Were they talking outside the courtroom? Were they talking in lunch? When were they talking? And why did it not come to the court's attention that they were talking? It makes me think that they were sneaking around talking and having secret discussions, maybe. Again, right? If it's called after a guilty verdict, it could be grounds for appeal or a new trial. Again, they found Diddy guilty of two things, all right? So this is not good. Can there be investigation or punishment? Yes. Jurors can be investigated or punished. They can get contempt of court, civil fines, or even jail time in extreme misconduct. Or judges can publicly reprimand them and bar them from jury service in the future. That could be something too. Listen, let's just say, again, let's just say, as in this case, that Diddy was acquitted. Later it's discovered the jurors were talking about the case in the bathroom during the trial or violating sequestrian rules. Well, I don't think they were sequestered, right? Or already planning to acquit him before even hearing all the evidence, which I think is very, very likely. That's terrible, but it is too late. Double jeopardy protects them and he walks. However, this gross misconduct, listen, this gross misconduct might be what the jury needs, what Diddy needs to actually appeal those guilty verdicts. And I find it odd that he went out on CNN and actually admitted this, okay? It's very troubling. It's very disturbing, but it is what it is. This is the guy right here. This is the guy that was thirsty in court. This is the guy that would look out, savoring every moment. For anybody to say he didn't want to be a juror, I think, given the evidence, it is a strong possibility that he lied and gamed the system to get on the jury. But what he actually, his big mouth actually revealed were, it sounds like, according to him, because they talked about Westmoreland's testimony, they talk about Mia's testimony, they talked about the credibility of Jane, they talked about the credibility of Cassie. That means that they were already deliberating and talking before they heard all the evidence, which is gross misconduct. And it also means that most of them had probably had their mind made up before the feds could even rest their case. Again, this is really, really bad. It's not helping us, but this idiot might have given Diddy the in to get a to ask for an appeal based or a new trial based off of gross misconduct. Okay, again, this is what they said. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. 1 second, y'all. Now, listen, this is also Matthew breaking it down. I want you guys to listen to this. Turn your volume up because this is very, very important.
The alternate juror for the U.S. versus Sean Combs trial, who spoke on CNN, he went forward. We covered him when during jury selection, he said he worked for the UN Office of Counterterrorism and that didn't work with U.S. law enforcement. We didn't think that was true. But after the verdict, he went on CNN and called himself George. And here's one of the things that he said. Then we asked the UN about it.
The prosecution was showing more, just Cassie just sitting around. The defense said that. Yeah.
Wait, was
Just sitting around not engaging in sexual activity.
Prosecution or defense?
Yes.
The prosecution, when you had to have your headphones on and otherwise, what were you seeing then?
There was sexual activity, but I mean, it wasn't.
Listen at him.
He went on to say it was pretty tame, actually. So we decided to ask the UN a few questions. So ask the UN a few questions. One, to confirm that George works at the Office of Counterterrorism, and a few other things that you can see there. This is the context of this that the UN doesn't actually allow us in, but they did say they'll answer written questions. You see, this is the UN spokesman, Stefan Juror, and he was asked whether he'd be answering questions.
We've also answered this to these
Y-
questions.
As y'all noticed that he didn't answer any of the inner city press questions about that guy, right? Just watch.
Continue to answer the questions that he emails and questions that he's asking.
So-
We also answered this to
See, it's pretty straightforward. Here's George, UN Office of Counterterrorism, that's UNCT, and he's the contact.
That's me. I'm sorry.
201, well, you see it. Strange thing about that phone number is that it goes to a real estate. He's a real estate agent, but also he's working for the human rights at the United Nations. So we emailed, to make a long story short, we emailed Stefan Dujarric the questions that you see in the morning. He had time. He had a briefing, and here's what he did.
Good afternoon. Chris, just a warning, there is no money quiz today, so, you know.
It's all about the money.
Tomorrow, 12:45, there'll be a joint press briefing here by Ambassador Atayeva, the permanent representative of Turkmenistan.
Great.
Okay, speaking of due process.
Didn't answer any questions. Has still not answered, hours later, the questions submitted to him. He's paid quite a lot of money and lives on the Upper East Side in a penthouse. Maybe
I shouldn't even get paid.
real estate, that's true. Real estate agent George is involved. So inner city press is applied to enter.
Okay, so to make a long story short, right? Thank you, Becky Brown, for joining the family. You are the newest member of the Title House. So you guys, where are we at? Where are we at? Where are we at? There has been gross misconduct in the Sean Diddy Combs case. If this juror can be believed, and again, if you watch my coverage from the beginning, I was the first person, even among the major media, you can tell because we were on court together. Okay. I alerted them. They started running stories on it. This is true. Thank you very much. About what the jurors were doing, the way they seem to be talking among themselves on the stand while they were watching the jury, the way they seemed to be too buddy-buddy, the way they mouthed them was like, I told you, Sheba, I told you, they're lying. Like they were literally on the prosecution, I'm sorry, on the defense's side. A lot of them, not a lot, all of them, but a good number of them seemed to be very, very, very already in bed, not in bed with the defense, because I don't want to imply that they were paid off or anything that.
They were mostly already pro Diddy. That's what I'm gonna say. They was mostly already pro Diddy, didn't believe nothing. You know what I'm saying? Just like this dude sitting up here giving the interview. You can look at him. He give himself away with his face, you know? That's what I'm gonna say anyway. But y'all, please, as you come in, please hit that subscribe button and hit that like button if you like any of the reaction, okay? I appreciate it very much.
Like those are serious legal charges. However, this juror is now saying on CNN, and they're saying to the world that they talked about Don's testimony. They talked about Mia's testimony. They talked about the Smex tapes. They talked about Jane's testimony, which would be normal, except for the fact that he is an alternate juror.
Exactly.
And alternate jurors are not allowed back in the deliberation room. And the only time you were supposed to talk about the case at all is during deliberation. So if this happened, and I do believe it happened, why, when, where, how did they talk about this? They defied judge's orders. They defied the civil rules of procedure. And if you can believe this juror, and I do believe him, they had their minds made up from the beginning, which is how they decided a 7-8 week case in less than 12 hours. That is how, because they already made whether they wanted to get Diddy off. This goes to the heart of the jury about whether they even were listening to the victims. This idiot also said, I hope he gets the help he needs. Not the victims, not the he works on the thing for human trafficking. And you are like, the hell with the victims. I hope Puff Daddy gets the help he needs. The help he needs is a slap in the face. He needs somebody to treat him the way he treated Cassie. And then we'll see if there is a God's divine law, he will actually feel what he put others through. But all jokes aside, right? All jokes aside, you guys, what do you think about this? I think this is very alarming, and I think this confirms everything we had to say. I have emailed the UN to even see, were you even supposed to be there? Did you lie about your job? And if you lied about the job, did the UN know that you lied about the job and you still somehow got on the jury? You work for the UN, but yet you're a real estate agent at night. You're a high-ranking level official for the UN, but you have a real estate agency. I don't even think you're allowed to moonlight because it's kind of like a conflict of interest. But at the very least, Jay Candy said, why aren't you covering Cassie's accuser, or don't you think he's a victim? Why am I not covering Cassie's accuser? I just did a video about Allie. Welcome to the Titus House family. First of all, well, I'm not going to hijack this about Cassie's accusers because I don't understand what that is. None of the escorts said that they were great. None of them. None of them. None of the escorts said they were great.
Okay, so all right, so yeah. Sound like sure does, cream lady. But yeah, Deborah, remember over there on where we heard it recorded at over there on King World's page where you could hear him. That's what TISA don't believe him either. And she ain't even heard the recording like over there, over there. But if y'all want to know about this man that wrote this book, just talking all this trash about Cassie, that she was pregnant by him, and then she had a boy, and then she went to the jail to tell him about it, and she having freak FOs you know what I'm saying? And then her and Diddy and then the next night, maybe another couple dudes. Ain't no way. He don't even look like the type. And plus, by the videos that I heard over there, he's a what you call him? He's schizophrenic for real, in real life. Yeah, and I even heard him fussing with his girlfriend, which I know he lost her. Because y'all need to go look. Y'all need to go over to King World's page and look at that. If y'all want to know all about this dude right here, he is a nut. The one that wrote that book. So, yeah, TISA don't believe nothing he got to say either. But, so, if y'all want to see the rest of TISA, though, I'm going to let y'all go over there on her platform. She made this morning. So, yeah. So anyway, I want to thank y'all for coming, all of y'all, even the ones that I can't see. But I am gonna check my settings there. But thank you, because I cannot see I can't see. But yeah, I know he don't even look like the type that they would have picked that from. They probably wouldn't even hired him at the Big Bear, the Black Bear, the Ice Bear, wherever they got the escorts from. Shoot. He don't even look like the type at all. You can't just look at my face, you have to look at me in the bed. What else? Shut up. Shut up. Man, please. I mean, yeah. He ain't even the type. And then gonna try to wear some shades like Diddy got on. Man, please be quiet. He ain't nobody's type. He was just keep that darn puppy he took the woman to court to get. I mean, I took the puppy now. I'm like, but he's schizophrenic, like for real. Y'all, go over there and listen to him. He recorded it. He's so crazy. He recorded it himself. He was talking about knocking a mama out, all this stuff. The girlfriend mama. I mean, yeah, he's straight up. Straight up. He is gone. So he wrote that book. Why I don't know. He wrote the case during that book during the trial. That's what I'm gonna say about that. But anyway, y'all, I'm gonna get up out of here because y'all made me laugh. Thank you. I needed that. But anyway, I'm gonna get out of here, and if you want to see the rest of it, because he's about to talk a little junk, but to him about that book and about Cassie being supposedly somebody. How you know she was pregnant by you? You know, and I'm thinking like, yeah, you, please. Anyway, I'll talk to y'all later, and I'm gonna go check out this check out some that Deborah hooked me up with. I wrote it down. I'm gonna go look at it like right now. All right, I'll talk to y'all later. Y'all please hit the subscribe and like button on your way out, in or out, on the replay or right now. And I appreciate it. Thank y'all for coming to Valentine TV, and I will see y'all later. Bye, Deborah. Bye, Cream Lady. Bye, Victoria.